From the heartland of America, focused on God, family, and country, the mouthpiece of the Midwest. This is Dale Carter's America.
We're back in the Raytown studios for another episode of Dale Carter's America, and we have a full plate because once again the news cycle is moving so fast. I heard Gary and Eric talking about this on Red Eye Radio about how slow the news cycle used to be for talk radio. You might talk about the same topic for like a week.
Yeah.
And with Donald Trump, things are happening so fast that we might do a commercial break and come back and something else is different.
Yeah, we went back to war with Iran or whatever.
Something. I mean, there's always something going on. So we do try and keep tabs on everything that's happening in real time over on the Facebook page for Dale Carter's America in between episodes. But you definitely want to subscribe and get the video version because we do play a lot of clips, and we're even going to have a teachable moment. Kurt's got a teachable moment for me today, and I can't wait because I think that I'm coachable. I really do. And I think if you show me the error of my way, I'm like, okay, next time I won't run the play that way.
Yeah.
I think I'm coachable like that.
Well, hopefully we all are.
So we'll see. All the ways that you can get in on this deal, tell them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube or Rumble for the video podcast. Drop a comment, drop a like, share it with your friends. You can share it, the link on any social media platform. We do appreciate it. Also, you can find the audio-only version on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to follow us on Facebook as well and join in the conversation.
Okay. Last time on the podcast, I talked to you about the Republicans coming after me to run for the Jackson County legislature. We've had some meetings since then, and if I had to bet right now, I would say it's about a 95% certainty that I'm going to be running in 2026. That's
pretty high.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty high. We're having meetings, putting a campaign team together.
I'd say congratulations.
There's a couple of things out there that I'm still going to have to clear hurdle-wise. Quite frankly, one of them is, I'm the stadium voice for the Kansas City Chiefs. Mm-hmm. And I never thought about this when I was on the city council or I ran for mayor and all that because Blue Springs had nothing to do with Kansas City Chiefs. But the Chiefs and Jackson County are kind of intertwined. And so I've run it by the powers that be there, and they're supposed to, give me some guidance on that next week.
So you haven't heard from them?
I haven't yet. So we'll see where that goes and what kind of a factor that's going to be in my decision. We'll see. But I look at it, and for a long time that I've been beating the drum on let's get out of Jackson County. There's nothing in it for Eastern Jackson County. All we are is the cash register for Kansas City. So we've even talked about Truman County. And I think it's interesting because people will come back to me and say, hey, have you heard about this Truman County thing? I'm like, we started it, right? Yeah. I know that there was a long time play for moving the eastern suburbs out, but nobody called it Truman County. We came up with that. Yeah. So that tells you that the word has gotten back around. Said, yeah, I think I've heard a little bit about this Truman County thing.
You're like, no, tell me more.
But what if I could get in there and work with people like Sean Smith, and you may find this hard to believe, Manny Abarca, who's very liberal. Sean and I have had this conversation that he and Manny work well together because there are certain aspects of this that aren't Republican or Democrat. They're just crazy. And this tax assessment thing is flat crazy. Did you hear that Manny Abarca sent a letter to Governor Kehoe asking him, begging him to get involved in what's going on in Jackson County?
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly seeing it on my timeline, in terms of like friends across the political spectrum that are really bothered by it. So
it's crazy.
Yeah.
First, it was homeowners that really got the shaft on the assessment thing. And now it's businesses in Jackson County. Some of the assessments have been as high as 1,600% higher. I mean, I'm not a math wizard, but I didn't even think that was a possible number. 1,600%.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty high.
Yeah. And Manny has gone to the governor and said, we really need your help. We need accountability in there. And what if I could get in there and work with some of those people and make Jackson County better? That's easier than trying to pull out the eastern suburbs. Trust me, if I won and I got in there and I couldn't get it done, I'd be right on the bandwagon again. Let's get the hell out of here. So we'll see how all this goes. And the crazy thing to me is Frank White still thinks this is about the stadium issue. Mm-hmm. It's not a stadium issue. You should talk to people in Eastern Jackson County. They are pissed. They were wicked pissed before any of this stadium stuff came up.
Yeah.
They're upset about the assessment deal, and he just can't get that through his head. And, I look at it as an observer at this point and just see he's completely incompetent.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. If you were to get in, to do what you can kind of within the structure that exists currently first. And then, if that doesn't work, then look at the other options. But the leaving the county or splitting the county is obviously going to be much more of a harder pull, so.
Well, we had Steinmeier on from Sugar Creek, and he says that he has the bill in his desk. He's a representative for Sugar Creek.
Yeah. And Does he have the bill on his desk, just like Pam Bondi had the...
We're going to get to that. Steinmeier says it's in a drawer in his desk, so that's a little different. But he calls it the nuclear option. And I get that. It would be the nuclear option. So maybe it won't come to that. We'll see. To be determined. And Phil Lavoda, who's been on this podcast several times, he's a Democrat, and I get along with him. You've obviously produced the segments. You know we get along well. There are things we're never going to agree on, but where competence comes in, we do agree. And the big rumor out there was he was angling to be the interim Jackson County executive, because if Frank gets recalled, it has to be a Democrat per the charter.
Oh, really?
If there's a vacancy in a seat, it has to come from the political party that held it. Mm-hmm. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, here's what I'm thinking about doing. I'm kicking this around. And I hear you're angling to be the interim executive. And he told me, well, Frank's spreading that rumor, because he's Lavoda is representing the people who are suing Jackson County, saying, wait a minute, we got all the signatures. It needs to go to a vote of the people 60 days forth, not through the legislature and giving Frank the ability to veto it. That's not what the charter says.
Right.
So that's why Phil's suing. And now Frank's, I don't know, man. He's seeing like black helicopters or something, because he doesn't think it has anything to do with the reassessments. He thinks Lavoda is after his job. Now, Lavoda said, hey, if it comes to that and they appoint me, I'm not running for it. But if they appoint me, heck yeah, I'd do it.
Right.
So there's a
classic drama.
There's a lot of drama.
Yeah.
And a lot to come still. I am hoping to make my decision for the 2026 election by August 1st. We'll see if that comes to fruition, but that's where we are. And it occurs to me that I forgot to thank and say hi to my good friend, Bob Watson. Bob Watson is a State Farm agent. He's my State Farm agent. He's been repping State Farm for over 50 years out of his office in Blue Springs, 7th and Main in Blue Springs, talking about getting hosed in the assessments for businesses. And back to Manny's point to the governor is, we're going to run businesses out of Jackson County. How is that a good thing? It's a terrible thing, terrible for the economy. And Bob Watson will tell you he's one of the businesses taking it in the shorts over the assessment issue. But he's a great guy. He's taken care of my family for over 30 years. He'll do the same for you. 816-229-7878. 816-229-7878. Auto, home, life. Bundle it and save even more. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And I owe Bob a call, because little Lord Fauntleroy at my house now has his driver's license, and he'll be getting a car.
Scary.
And I got to put that on my insurance. I've done it before with the 4 kids I raised that were mine, and you'll have to do it before you know it.
Don't even say it.
It'll go by in the blink of an eye.
Don't even say it.
Trust me on that. All right, got to protect your family. That's what Clay Como Shooters is all about. We've talked about it on the podcast many times, that the police oftentimes get there after the fact. They get there after the violence has happened. You have to look no further than what happened in Minneapolis. Knocked on the door and had a mask on. He just started blasting away. Protect yourself, protect your family. Clay Como Shooters, 69 Highway in Clay Como. You can reach them at 816-452-4867. They're a full-service firearms dealer, and they'll buy guns, too. And the training is the most important part of it. And the staff at Clay Como Shooters, they're law enforcement. law enforcement background. They've got an indoor shooting range so you can practice. They've got affordable pricing. They're just a neighborhood business looking out for the community. But the bottom line is protect yourself and your family. Find the right firearm. You have the right to bear arms. And I would say, depending on where you live, you have the responsibility to protect your family with a firearm. Find the right one. Get trained on it with my friends at Clay Como Shooters. Medicare Simplified KC. It takes the very complex from the government. We're going to get into a lot of what the government's doing right now. Donald Trump, I mean, love him or hate him, but he's actually doing things that Republicans have talked about for decades, and it's actually coming together. So it's crazy right now. And you know Medicare is going to be affected by all this because it always is. So if you've got somebody in your family who is 65 or approaching 65, get on the phone with my friend Kirk Doris at Medicare Simplified KC, 816-701-6661. Did you get the website? MedicareSimplifiedKC.com. They take the complex, make it simple. We're all different. And when we retire, we're not the same. We have different needs, different wants, and different levels of income. Think about that too. So which plan, which part, do you need a supplement? What kind of supplement? Kirk Doris has navigated these waters for many, many years, helping thousands of people here in the Kansas City area. His office is at 3600 South Nolan Road, Suite F. Reach him on the phone at 816-701-6661. And again, MedicareSimplifiedKC.com. Okay, so scandal. We love scandals. We do love scandals. There was an ABC show called Scandal. Did you ever watch that? Kerry Washington?
What do you think, Dale?
I fell in love with her. I love Kerry Washington. She's as liberal as the day is long. We probably wouldn't get along. There would be nothing to talk about. But I really loved that show. So we have two that are kind of like competing, kind of like dueling banjos. And so we say, take your pick. Right now, the current two scandals, if you had a top 10 chart of songs, the top two with a bullet are Biden's auto pen or the fumbled Epstein files. Okay? I think Donald Trump is pretty clear on which one he thinks is more important.
He doesn't have a policy. Some lunatic around the desk had a policy. Whoever operated the auto pen had a policy, which is, by the way, I think the biggest scandal. That's the scandal they should be talking about, not Jeffrey Epstein. The scandal you should be talking about is the auto pen, because I think it's the biggest scandal, one of them in American history. So the economy is doing really well, and people are seeing it. Yeah.
Okay, so the auto pen there, and you got another video?
I just wanted to say something first, real quick. Like, it's so
that wasn't AI, was it?
No, that was not AI. It's so hilarious to me that, like, regardless of how you feel about the particular thing, you know, whether you agree with him or not, he just brings world leaders into the Oval Office and then just airs out his like shit in front of it.
Exactly.
They just this guy just has to sit there while he's like just talking about whatever the heck he wants.
That guy's from the Prime Minister of India, I think.
I guess, yeah. It says very close to trade deal with India. But that's just hilarious to me. Like, that guy just has to sit there while Trump's like, they got me all wrong. That's the wrong scandal. It's like just so funny. Okay, here's the other video.
Okay.
Of him. There's a few videos on Epstein, but this is just him saying we shouldn't be talking about
Sure.
it.
Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries.
Oh, actually, we're going to watch that clip later. I'm going to hold on to that one.
Okay, hold on to that one. Okay, so
one of the biggest.
You got another one?
No.
Okay, well then let's discuss the auto pen. Biden says that he approved of everything signed by the auto pen. So how do you disprove it?
President Joe Biden said in a new interview released by the New York Times that he consciously made all the clemency decisions during his presidency. The defense comes as a House committee is probing the 46th president's use of an auto pen for the controversial pardons and commutations. Biden issued several last-minute pardons at the end of his time in the White House, most notably his son Hunter Biden, Dr. Anthony Fauci, former Joint Chief of Staff's Chairman Mark Milley, and a host of others. Now, as the House Oversight Committee is looking into the pardons and Biden's use of the auto pen, the former president is insisting that he made every single one of the decisions. Despite Biden's insistence, however, he also confirmed to the outlet that he did not approve each name for the pardons that applied to groups of people. Instead, he signed off on the standards he wanted to be used to determine who would qualify for a pardon. Biden later revealed how that process worked, saying his aides would only read off the names of prominent figures, such as Milley. The Oversight Committee is slated to hear more testimonies from Biden's senior staff over the next few weeks.
With all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey.
But where do you go with this? There's no way to... The Constitution is very vague on this, that the president has the power to do this. It doesn't say how you do it. It says you have the power to do it. I think about the only thing they could do moving forward is Congress could clarify the use of the auto pen. Yes, you can do it for Christmas cards or, if you've been invited to a wedding or something and they're going to get something from the White House, of course you could do the auto pen there. But not for pardons, not for anything that's policy related. I think Congress does have that oversight over the executive. But I don't think you can go backward here and hold anybody accountable, right?
Yeah, and it's also weird. The whole thing is, like with the Hunter Biden and the Fauci pardons, they were like blanket pre-pardons. Like It's the whole idea of the pre-pardon. It's not even that he's pardoning people for a crime with an auto pen. It's that it's like, whoa, whatever they happen to do that is going to obviously be uncovered. You know what I mean?
Or the preemptive. That's what they've done.
Preemptive. Yeah, that's the word.
And that's another thing that Congress could jump in on and say, okay, you can't use the auto pen for this. It can't be a preemptive pardon, can't be a blanket pardon. It needs to be for a specific thing. Congress, I believe, I'm not a constitutional scholar. I'm kind of like Ketanji Jackson Brown, or is it Brown Jackson? I always get that confused.
I think it's Brown Jackson.
Yeah. I have at least read the Constitution. I don't think she has. But, I think that's the way it's handled in the Constitution. Be something good to research, but can we really go backward and say, this is what happened with any kind of clarity? You can't, because again, the Constitution gives him wide latitude, gives Donald Trump wide latitude. Anybody who's president has wide latitude to do all this. Mm-hmm. So how do we know he didn't?
It's going to require some more, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's going to require some more narrowing of the definition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what I said. I mean, that's what we've got to do. And Congress has the oversight in order to do that. But ultimately, it comes back to the voters who put him in office, right? We've all got to wake up. We've got to wake up at every level. The county level, for what I'm looking at, school boards. Who are these people who are guiding your school children? Who are the city council members who are guiding your cities? Who's the governor? These are important elections. And I would tell you that elections that happen closer to home have more relevance in your life than what happens in Washington, D.C. We get like Donald Trump this and Biden that and blah, 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 blah. The bottom line is it's likely you and I will never meet these people. They'll never have a direct impact in our life, yet they get the highest voter turnout. And the lowest voter turnout are the people who are guiding your children in school, guiding your cities, guiding your states. Those are closer to you. The people who are doing your assessment in Jackson County, you probably didn't vote for them because voter turnout in those elections is like through the floor. But you get a president who really doesn't have a lot of influence in your everyday life, and that goes through the ceiling. We've got to wake up when we vote at every level. Anything else you want to say about the auto pen? I'm going to move on.
No, I think we've talked about it enough.
Okay, so on to Epstein. This is what I believe to my core. If Joe Biden had anything incriminating on Donald Trump in that last election, he would have used it, right?
Possibly.
If they've got access to the Epstein file, and they had it, right? I'm sure everybody in the Biden White House who had access to it read it cover to cover, and if they had anything on Donald Trump, they would use it. Now, what they do have, and what you've seen all over Facebook from our TDS friends, is pictures of Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein. pictures of Bill Clinton with Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a mover and a shaker and a player. And Donald Trump has had his picture taken with every mover and shaker and player in this world. Does he know them all? Does that mean he's a child molester who went to the island? I don't think it does. So if they had evidence, again, I believe to my core, they would have used it. They did everything else to him, right? Russia. That was a complete made-up hoax. And they went with that the first 4 years he was president. You know, the lawfare, every blue district they could find, New York, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., they took him to court so they could label him a felon, which is such a joke. You TDS people, that's such a joke when you throw that out there. Do you remember the jury instructions from the judge? If you remotely get anywhere near what might be a conviction, go ahead. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's not how jury instructions go with anybody other than Donald Trump. So you did all that. So if you had anything even remotely close, you would have used it. Okay? The media was your aid during Russia. Now, the interesting thing to me is Pam Bondi, right? We got a couple of clips from her. I want to know why she said this.
This is a supercut of a bunch of people. It's not just Pam Bondi from prior to the election.
Please do not let that story go.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is that. I mean, there's.
That's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
This isn't about Epstein or 9/11 or JFK or RFK. It is, but it isn't. It's about a bigger thing. If you're lying about that, you're lying about everything. Who's on the Epstein tapes, folks? Who's on those tapes? Who's in those black books? Why have they been hiding it?
And this is something Donald Trump has talked about. The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
Everything's going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. Americans have a right to know.
Okay. So she said she had it on her desk, blah, 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 blah. So now that this is like falling apart, she has to try and clean it up, right?
Yeah. And this is her and Trump both in a press conference. Because there was two separate clips that went viral, one of Trump talking about it, one of her talking about it. I didn't realize it was the same clip. So here's kind of the longer clip that includes both of their reactions.
It left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the stabbing?
Yeah, sure. If
could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems
it's talking about the floods
like
in
a
Texas.
desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well.
Yep, there you go.
So the press secretary also backtracking?
Yeah, this is a good one too. Couple interesting things here. Don't have to play this whole clip.
DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and it contained child pornography, which is not something that's appropriate for public consumption. But they committed to an exhaustive investigation. That's what they did, and they provided the results of that.
So there you have it. I mean, they're kind of all just backtracking, which is really weird because we were told that there was tens of thousands of hours of video. Right. We were told that there's a client list. We were told that he's Mossad. You know, Ghislaine Maxwell's dad is like deeply tied with Mossad. He was a Mossad agent. And Jeffrey Epstein was constantly over there, constantly working with those people. And like, for them to just say, well, nothing to see here, case closed, move on. It's just really, really strange at the very least. There's one more thing. This is just a conspiracy theory thing, but a little graphic I found online. If you noticed anything different about that press conference, and here it is. Every single press conference I've seen, she's wearing a cross necklace. Every single one. And that one where she's talking, saying that there's no Epstein files and there's nothing to see here, she doesn't have her cross necklace on.
Okay, that's a conspiracy theory. I will tell you, I've watched her press conferences a lot, and I've seen her with the cross and without the cross. So
is that true?
That is true. I've seen it both ways because I thought about that because the very first press conference that she did, she had the cross on, and I thought that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I see her press conference almost every day. Because it just hits about my lunchtime at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and if I can just kind of cook on this for a second, I think there's two possibilities here, and both are not good. The first possibility is that they're part of the cover-up, and that they don't want the information to...
The Trump administration.
Yes.
Okay.
They don't want the information to come out for whatever reason, which is obviously bad. The second possibility, which is also bad, is that they got over their skis during the election because every single one of these people, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, Donald Trump, were out there saying, this is the biggest story ever. We have to get the Epstein files out. We're going to get you the truth. And then, you know, it was like part of a campaign ploy, right? Like they were out there saying all this to get elected because they were saying, we need transparency, you know, this and that. And they got over their skis. They didn't have the information. And it's not to say that there's nothing there because regardless, there's still tons of questions that are left unanswered. But it's very possible, too, that they just overplayed their hand. You know, Kash Patel is getting on all the podcasts and all the TV shows. Pam Bondi, nobody had heard of her before she started talking about this. Mm-hmm. You know, so they start to smell their own farts, and then it's like, well, this is the story that we have to talk about because it's what's getting us attention. You know,
well, Bongino's threatening to quit.
Oh, he is really?
Over the whole thing, right? Because on his show, on his radio show that he had, he said, you know, I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to tell you everything that I find out. And so he's threatening to quit over this. I don't know what's going to happen here. There's other theories out there, too, that it could be mutually assured destruction, right? That Biden didn't release anything on Trump, even if it was speculative, because maybe Hunter Biden is named in this thing. I don't know. I mean, that came from one of our TDS people on Facebook, that could be a possibility. Is it a CIA national security issue? I don't know, but I do know this. Americans love a great scandal.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a big deal, right? I mean, it implicates the entire power structure of our society. It implicates not only politicians, but, celebrities, world leaders, all these people that were told, were on the flight logs, were on the island.
Yeah.
He had video cameras like in every single room, hidden video cameras in every single room to record whatever the heck was going on there. And then the other thing is like, I get the defense of, well, we can't release this because there's victims involved and we don't want to re-victimize people. But it's like, we have technology. You can blur people's faces. You can cut people out, or you can just tell us the names of who's on there. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to release child pornography to say like, hey, this person XYZ was, on tape doing this. You know what I mean? It's like it's not that complicated.
I agree with you.
So I don't get it. It's really strange, but it's certainly not a good look for the Trump administration, regardless of if it's a cover up or if they're just over their skis or willfully ignorant or they're caught with their pants down. Yeah. Doesn't look good either way.
Well, it's pissing Trump off because he's like, we're doing all this stuff and all this great stuff's going on here, and all you people just want to talk about Epstein. And to your point, I mean, they may have fanned that flame during the campaign.
Yeah.
Do you want to play this other clip here that says "not safe"?
Yeah. So there's have you heard?
That intrigues me.
Have you heard of Tim Dillon, the comedian?
Not.
Okay, he's like my number one comedian right now.
All right.
It's a little bit of a longer clip, but this is very, very funny in relation to the Epstein issue. Not safe for work. Putting the disclaimer out there before
language.
I play this clip. Yeah, language, content, all of the above.
I'm giving advice to people now that live in this country. Choose the pedophile you agree with. Choose the pedophile whose values are yours. Who is the pedophile who has a pro-business attitude? Is there a pedophile who cares about the climate? Is the who wants better schools? Probably all of them. What pedophile has the viewpoint that you align with? What pedophile believes in infrastructure? Who is the pedophile that's going to keep us out of costly foreign wars? Who is the pedophile who's going to make sure your children have a shot at the American dream? You cannot ask that they don't fuck kids. You cannot ask that. It's a bridge too far. Stop being greedy. Who is the pedophile that when they speak, you go, man, I relate to that guy. Not on everything. Not on everything.
There you go. That's
right.
a small taste, but
well, I wanted to take
funny.
you back to something, and I don't even remember the year that this happened, but it's long before you, because this just shows you that America loves a good scandal and will be glued to it. Older listeners, viewers of this podcast will remember this very well. Geraldo Rivera went on television and said, we are going to get into Al Capone's vault in Chicago. And it was like a 2-hour network special. And it was like the biggest rated network special in history. Everybody was tuned into it. And I won't spoil it for those who are younger, who don't remember this. But Geraldo Rivera led us to Al Capone's vault.
The idea was to open the vault on live international television.
I'm Geraldo Rivera, and you're about to witness a live television event. A massive concrete vault has been discovered. Some think it belonged to none other than the notorious Al Capone. Well, tonight, for the first time, that vault is going to be open live.
Well, what happened that night 20 years ago made pop cultural history and made me the punchline of a million jokes, some of which are still being told. Today, for the first time since it aired in April 1986, here's a portion of the secrets of Al Capone's vault.
Now, what, if anything, that vault contains, we don't know. This is an adventure you and I are going to be taking together.
But when all was said and done, all I'd found was an old stop sign and a couple of empty gin bottles.
That was it.
It seems, at least up to now that we've struck out with the vault, I'm disappointed about that, as I'm sure you are.
Then I swallowed my pride and kept my word.
I promised all the critics that if we didn't find anything, I'd sing a song, so Chicago,
Yeah, I don't think we need that.
All right.
Yeah,
But you get the idea. I mean, we were glued to it because we love that kind of shit. And they really love this kind of shit. So it's going to be hard to put that toothpaste back in the tube. They say in politics, though, if you just stop talking about it, time will
just
pass.
imagine the gumption. It's like there's a giant international pedophile ring with all of the most powerful people in the world, and we're gonna expose it. Just kidding. It's like, oh, okay, sorry. I guess there isn't. I guess I'll just believe you.
So there you go. I think from the time that we spent on it, the Epstein thing means more to us than the auto pen thing.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We're moving
Well,
forward.
also we covered the auto pen before.
Yeah,
really,
that's true.
So.
And really, what can you say?
Yeah.
He says he did. He says he was in on all that stuff. So what are you going to do? Okay, the red carpet lender, because you're going to need a mortgage here at some point. If you don't already have one, you're going to want to buy a house. You got to have a mortgage. You got to talk to my guy, Chad Taylor, theredcarpetlender.com. That's all you need is his website, theredcarpetlender.com, and he'll take care of everything from there, okay? He's not going to tell you no. He's going to tell you how. That's a big distinction between a lot of folks because there are things you can do to clean up your own life so that you can qualify for a better rate, and Chad can explain all that to you. Free appraisals for first-time home buyers, police and fire department employees, along with all school district employees. Chad is licensed in Missouri and Kansas. If you don't want to go the web deal, you can call him up. All right, call him at 913-317-1012. And his mobile number is 816-896-2415. Don't need perfect credit. He can go as low as a 580 credit score. You don't need 20% down. I mean, he can run through all the traps here so that, A, you can either get yourself out of the hole you dug yourself into, or if you're ready to get a house, he can tell you exactly the mortgage that you can qualify for. So when you go see my friend Michael Schroer and say, okay, Mike, here's the deal. Chad says we qualify for this mortgage. Then Michael, who is a RE/MAX Elite broker at Lee Summit, RE/MAX Elite in Lee Summit, he can then take that approved mortgage and say, okay, here's what I've got for you. Okay? Find the house that you can afford. It'll make a big difference when it comes to paying your bills. And if you're just looking for maybe a bigger house, a smaller house, starter house, I've seen all kinds that Michael has had. And we put a lot of them up on Facebook too, because he is moving that inventory. Give him a call if you're looking to sell your house, need to buy your next house. Michael Schroer, RE/MAX Elite in Lee Summit. His number is 816-373-8400. I'll give you his cell phone number too, 816-520-9342. I mean, we're coming up on the middle of summer here. You need to get locked in with where you're going to be if you got kids, because you got school coming up, all kinds of things going on like that. So get locked in with where you need to be, where you want to be. And if they're gone and you're an empty nester, you got all the time in the world. Just get on that phone and call Michael Schroer. Find that next house with RE/MAX Elite in Lee's Summit. Okay. I think for a lot of us, when Donald Trump was running for president, job number one, in our view, was secure the border and get the illegals out. Right? Wouldn't you agree? That was it?
Yeah, very close to the top of the list, yeah.
Very close. Because Joe Biden, going back to when he was on the debate stage with other Democrats, we have the receipts. We can play this for you. We're not making this shit up. We have the receipts. He said, come on in. We want you to come on in. In fact, we had video of the people coming in wearing Biden-Harris t-shirts. How much more of an endorsement can you get than that? And you would think to yourself, man, Democrats must have been for this forever and ever and ever. And I don't think that's true. I found some videos. Now, these aren't AI, right? That's my test isn't coming up. Okay, correct. Good. Because we're going to start with Bill Clinton, and this is from 1995. Bill Clinton, to remind everyone, a Democrat.
And here we go.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
How about that?
Round of applause.
Standing ovation. And they should show that to the Democratic caucus on a loop over and over and over again. Because what happened with Joe Biden that Donald Trump is now cleaning up was never the norm in this country. How about Barack Obama? Biden was his vice president. You know Obama's nickname, right? Deporter in chief. The guy deported 3 million. Trump's come nowhere near that number, and yet they've all got their hair on fire. And we've got a clip from Barack Obama when he was running for president. With some dead roll on.
We all agree on the need to better secure the border and to punish employers who choose to hire illegal immigrants. We are a generous and welcoming people here in the United States, but those who enter the country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law, and they are showing disregard for those who are following the law. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants in this country.
Okay, so we played 2 clips from Democrat presidents. What changed? I don't get it, because those 2 presidents are aligned perfectly with where Donald Trump is. Do you see any daylight between Obama, Clinton, and Trump?
No, not really. I mean, they probably didn't talk about it as much as he does, but they, like you said, Obama deported more people than Trump did. So,
yeah. And Obama had the cages. Remember, they were all on the cages and thing. They tried to tag Trump with that, but it turned out they were from the Obama administration.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what changed, I think, is just them fully understanding the political benefit of demographics replacement. That's what changed. Now they know that it's like, oh, this is something that we have to support.
Okay. So why did Biden open the southern border? We have a clip on that?
Yes. Wait, is this the Kerry clip or is this something else?
I put a Kerry clip in there. Does that?
I think this is the Kerry clip.
Okay. All right. Well, we're just doing this on the fly here today. John Kerry, this may shock you. This is after Joe Biden has opened the border. John Kerry, the climate czar for Joe Biden, he thinks Trump's right.
To read the room. John Kerry admits that President Trump was right about the border.
They just allowed the border to continue to be under siege. And
that's quite a word.
I think the first words, the first thing any president should say, any president or anybody in public life, is without a border protected, you don't have a nation.
It's bad if John Kerry saw the border problem from his Gulf Stream. And when asked about how Donald Trump has handled the border, here's what Kerry said.
Well, he was right. The problem is we all should have been right. Everybody should have been right. Doing the same thing, all moving in the same direction.
Kerry says we all should have been right. Yeah, John, that's generally how being right works. The problem is that liberals don't like being right. It makes them feel too Republican.
There was a time when there were certain issues out there that weren't Republican or Democrat. They were just right. And this is one of those. Because, again, you can go back and you can get Bill Clinton in 1995, and I'll remind you historically how that falls. Clinton came in just like any left-wing Democrat, right? And he got his ass handed to him in the 1994 midterm. That clip that you played was from the State of the Union address right after he lost the midterm, when he and Newt Gingrich needed to get together on policy, and they did a lot of great things together, a Republican working with a Democrat. So John Kerry thinks Donald Trump is right. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, maybe not so much. She went on a field trip down to Alligator Alcatraz. Let me back up the train here a second before we get to Alligator Alcatraz, because it's been a long time since I applied for a job, right? You've done it obviously more recently than I have, because I've had my job for 30 years. Did you have to fill out something called an I-9 when you got the job?
That sounds familiar.
Where you have one document like maybe your driver's license and another one like your social security card or something like that to prove that you're an American citizen. That used to be a requirement of employers to file an I-9 on everyone that they hired.
Yeah, it does sound familiar.
And if that's the case, how are any illegals getting jobs? I just don't understand it. So we'll go back to this. The problem that I think Democrats have with it is that Trump is just being so mean about it. He's just so mean, right? Now we've got Alligator Alcatraz. He's making a big deal out of that. And then Debbie Wasserman Schultz approached the microphones. And you really need to have a violin playing. You don't have a violin around the studio, do you?
I have a...
Yeah. You're a musician. No violins? I love that. I love that. You know what Rush used to call Debbie Wasserman Schultz, right? I miss Rush. I think he'd have a field day with what's going on these days.
Yeah, he had good nicknames.
Yeah. Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz.
Yeah.
So Debbie was down there in Florida at Alligator Alcatraz, and you really, this may well bring some tears to your eyes.
Let's be clear, throughout this entire tour, it was repeated over and over that the state is working hand in glove with ICE. This facility was inspected by ICE. They review their detention standards. They are using cages. These detainees are living in cages. The pictures that you've seen don't do it justice. They are essentially packed into cages, wall-to-wall humans, 32 detainees per cage. That is the only thing inside those cages are their bunk beds, and there are 3 tiny toilets that are toilet units that have a sink attached to it. So they essentially drink, they get their drinking water and they brush their teeth, where they poop in the same unit. They bragged that they went above standards, supposedly, and gave them a 3-foot privacy wall that stretches the length inside the 32 detainee cage, a 3-foot privacy wall that stretches the length of the 3 toilets in a row. The showers provide no privacy at all. There are no curtains on it. It's a big open shower unit. There are, small walls in each shower, but we're talking about all 900 men who are held in this facility. It is built currently for 1,000, and they have no privacy at all when they're showering. For meals, when we walked through the quote unquote meal prep area, the kitchen area, for lack of a better term, they had the portions that were available for detainees, and they had the portions that were available for employees being prepared at the same time. The portions available for employees, large pieces of roast chicken, large sausages, and the detainees' lunches were a small,
might have to clip that.
Gray
Large
turkey
sausages.
and cheese sandwich, an apple, and chips.
Yeah, I'm done with her.
And
it's like,
that's it.
What do you want? Do you want the Ritz? These are criminals.
Well, that's where we're putting them before.
Exactly. And I just have a question, because I know how it is in my house. where do you brush your teeth?
I don't know about you, but I have a separate bathroom just for brushing my teeth.
Just for brushing your teeth.
There's no toilet, and the sink is just really small, just big enough for a little toothbrush.
Yeah.
You know, you have a separate. I mean, doesn't everyone have that?
Our bathroom has, the master bathroom has like 2 sinks, and the one that Jennifer uses is right next to the toilet. Oh my God.
You had to give her the one next to the toilet.
I let her pick. You know how these things go. Women get to make all the choices there. But that's my point. You brush your teeth next to the toilet. And you saw the video there. That doesn't look terrible, right?
It looks kind of like what you would expect, like a barracks or something like that, you know?
Or prison. You know,
Yeah,
these
yeah,
people
yeah.
are on their way out.
Yeah, yeah.
They're on their way out.
Yeah. And the communal showers and the bathrooms and stuff like that, I mean, that's something that's not foreign to many people, including people who aren't criminals, you know?
Yeah.
Like people who are in basic training in the military, or people who, you know, even like a shower in like a high school locker room or something
Football.
like, yeah, you know,
Yeah, the
whatever.
football
I mean,
team. Yeah.
Are they feeding them? Are they housing them? Are they like torturing them or something? I mean, what's going on?
They're fine. They're just not at the Ritz anymore, and I'm sorry that Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz doesn't like that, but that's life. I will say this, and I do want to make this point here before we move on. Cory Booker from New Jersey, Alex Padilla from California have combined to suggest that ICE, I think they've introduced legislation for this, ICE not have face coverings and do have name tags and badge numbers. And I find myself somewhat agreeing with at least part of this, because a lot of the chaos that has surrounded these raids is these guys showing up with their face covered, with no identifying marks that they're with the government, and they're just grabbing people. Now, they're grabbing people that they suspect to be here illegally, but when you and I face law enforcement, I mean, they've got a badge, they've got a name tag. In fact, you and I, as citizens, have the right to say, officer, I want your badge number and I want your name, because I don't like the way that you've treated me, and I'm going to go talk to your supervisors and all that. So, I mean, I get on one level that these people don't want to be doxxed to the drug cartels. So I get that, but there's kind of a yin and a yang here. Do you have any strong feelings one way or the other on that?
No. I apologize, everyone watching.
We're having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, major technical difficulties. The audio's fine, so I don't know what's happening with the cameras, but I keep deactivating and reactivating. I'm not going to get into the weeds too much.
But if you were an American citizen, let's say you got pulled over, right? And the car that pulled you over, and you know, Raytown is Raytown, by the way. So the car has no markings on it. They pull you over. The person who gets out of the vehicle has a mask on and no identifying marks, no badge, no name tag, you know, that kind of a thing. Isn't that going to freak you out?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we kind of talked about this before because Cory Booker mentioned it, and it seemed like you took the other side of the issue. But
I have mixed feelings about it, because I get the whole doxing thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think we should protect our ICE agents, DEA. We should protect our cops. And this whole doxing thing, and it's frankly congressional Democrats who have threatened it, that they were going to release all the names.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, if you're going to go in and you're going to grab somebody, maybe you do have the mask on, but maybe you also have a badge and a name tag, so that, you know, and there's a badge number on there, so that if there is some sort of miscommunication or whatever, you've got something you can report to the folks ahead of them.
yeah, it's a tricky situation. I also see both sides of it, but because you want to protect. I mean, the thing is, like, these people are getting attacked, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Well, they're getting attacked because congressional Democrats are threatening to attack them. If they'd shut their blowholes, we'd be all right. Yeah. They're the same folks who threatened federal judges, including Supreme Court judges. Told you it was okay to go to Brett Kavanaugh's house with a gun and threaten his life and threaten his family. That all came from congressional Democrats. That Maxine Waters, you talk about a blowhole. She's got an enormous blowhole. She's the one that said, if you see them out at dinner, you get in their face.
Yeah.
Remember all that?
Oh, yeah.
How's my Maxine Waters? Would that fit for AI? Would it qualify? I don't know.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. Okay, good. So we'll move right along from that and talk about Royal Roofing. And I'm telling you, as we record this morning, I don't know if you got a lot of rain here. We had torrential rain in Westport to the point of flash flooding, and certainly after what happened in Texas with the tragedy down there, hopefully people are taking that a little more seriously. But as we get out of that storm and go into another hot weekend, what happened to your roof in all this? Do you need somebody on that roof to take a look at it? You need my friends, the Wattersons, right? Royal Roofing, roofedbyroyal.com. You can reach them at 816-540-7057. They, of course, did the roof at my house in Blue Springs. They do them all over the metro area. And unlike the shysters out there that go door to door, knock on your door, ring the doorbell, even if it says no soliciting. Yes, I've been through that lately. These are the guys who you call because I've told you they did my roof. You want them to look at your roof. Austin and his team will come out. They have beautiful trucks. They are like black background with like a light blue graphic with like a crown on it. It's something you just can't miss there. Royal Roofing and Solar, 816-540-7057 on the web at roofedbyroyal.com. Okay, let's get your roof looked at here. After all these storms that we've had go through. Then we can celebrate. We can go to Funhouse Pizza and have a good time. 50 Highway in Lee's Summit, 7 Highway in Blue Springs. Let me just say that moving forward, if I end up leaning into this campaign next year, the campaign is actually going to kick off this fall. And you can bet Funhouse Pizza is going to be a big part of it, both in Lee's Summit and Blue Springs. Jim Dingman, a huge supporter, always in my ear about what's going on in Jackson County. And if I'm going to be part of the solution, I think Jim's going to help me out with that. So look forward to some events there. But really, Funhouse Pizza is a gathering place for whatever you got going. You got a team meeting for football coming up. Great place to have it. You got a birthday party. They got all kinds of rides and games for kids, and the pizza's amazing. The drinks are always cold, and Jim Dingman is an incredible host. You can order your pizza online at funhousepizza.com. Dine in on 7 Highway in Blue Springs or 50 Highway in Lee's Summit, and make sure you tell him that you heard about him here on Dale Carter's America. Okay, New York and the Democrats. This has really been interesting to watch, almost like a spectator, because we really don't have a dog in the fight. New Yorkers really do have a dog in the fight, and they need to be paying attention. Mamdani is the guy who's come out of nowhere to the front of the field of the Democrats. He will be the Democrat nominee. Trump has called him Mamdani the commie. And he doesn't even run away from it, Kurt. I mean, these are the kinds of things that, if he hadn't said this stuff, in fact, he did say all this stuff, he might walk it back. He's not walking it back. This is who he is. This is what he believes. And I put up a clip with Donald Trump, and you're telling me it's AI.
Well, we're going to watch it again. Let's find out.
All right.
Like this communist from New York someday gets elected. I can't believe that's happening. That's a terrible thing for our country, by the way. He's a communist. We're going to go to a communistic state. That's so bad for New York.
You said to watch the lips.
Yeah, that one is borderline. That one's hard to tell.
I thought I saw that live.
Yeah, maybe it's not.
And it's exactly what he would say. But you got another clip.
Yeah. He was apparently he's still doing rallies. I'm like, why is he still doing rallies? But anyway, here's him.
Because he loves them, man. That's that's when he's in his element.
Yeah, for sure.
They're trying to elect a communist, Zoran Mamdani, the guy who wants to defund the police, take over the stores and run the stores and have the people hand out goods. And when everything falls apart, it always does. It always works that way. It never has worked any other way. Anarchy and dictatorships prevail. This guy is a communist at the highest level, and he wants to destroy New York. I love New York, and we're not going to let him do that. Generations of Americans before us did not shed their blood only so that we could surrender our country to Marxist lunatics on the eve of our 250th year. As President of the United States, I'm proclaiming here and now that America is never going to be communist in any way, shape, form, and that includes New York City.
That includes New York City.
So, well, Trump is from New York, so I guess he takes it very personally. So let's talk about this Mamdani guy, because I originally, when they were labeling him a communist, I thought, well, he doesn't really fit a communist. But when I read more about him, he really does, because there are things that he has said and statements he has made where he wants the government to take over the means of production, and that is pure communism.
Yeah, like owning grocery store, like government-owned grocery stores and stuff like that.
Well, I took that as borderline socialist, but I see where you could say that that's communist as well. Again, like I said, I think he has qualities of both. And then, you know, he's an anti-Semite on top of all that. He's threatened to arrest Netanyahu if he steps off a plane in New York. I don't know that he's got the power to do that. The United Nations is in New York, and Israel, last I looked, is a member of the United Nations. So I don't see how he does that. So he's no friend to Israel or Jews, and you've got a city in New York that has the largest concentrated population of Jews anywhere in the world, even including Israel. So I don't know how he does that. And then, of course, he got into Colombia lying about his ethnicity, right?
Yep.
He's what was I know he said he was black. He's not black, and there was another
he's
ethnicity.
Like Pakistani or something like that.
Yeah. So obviously he pulled the Elizabeth Warren card there. But mainline Democrats are absolutely running away from this guy. So what we have is a spectator sport on the right where we're watching the Democrat Party have its own civil war. They're trying to say, we've got our own civil war because of Epstein, blah, 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 blah. They have an actual civil war going on because the far left of that party is tugging them, trying to get even further and further left. And there are Democrats out there, right? I think there are a lot of them who are more centrist. Harold Brown, I would put in that category. There are good folks in the Democrat Party who are in the center and don't want to see their party go that way. Carville's that way. He doesn't want to see his party go that way. Andrew Cuomo doesn't want to see his party go that way. So Andrew Cuomo put out a proposal. Did you hear about this? That because there's so many people running for mayor, Cuomo says if there's a poll in September, we should take the one who's got the best shot at Mamdani and everybody else get out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Eric Adams is the current mayor of New York. He's also a Democrat. He is running as an independent. Cuomo's going to run as an independent. And then you've got, what's his name, who always runs on the Republican side.
Sliwa?
Yeah, Curtis Sliwa.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, he's like whoever runs against Cleaver in the 5th District. He's the sacrificial lamb. Good guy, but he's never going to be mayor of New York. So Cuomo throws this proposal out there, and so Adams gets asked about it at a press conference. Let's see if he's willing to do this.
And Jay.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Woo, yes.
There's a proposal out there, and I know you're familiar with it, that whoever it is who's polling the highest ahead of the election in November, maybe September, early October, should be the one who goes on to face Mamdani in the general election. Governor Cuomo now endorses the proposal. He told me a week ago that was a non-starter for you. You've had a few days to think about it. Has your opinion changed?
Okay, first, you have to really know Cuomo. I keep telling everyone I have a master's in public administration, but a PhD in Andrew. This proposal that was put out, it was Andrew's proposal. He uses people to put things out that he really would like to come later and say, okay, I endorse what an independent person is doing. He did this in Albany. He would create these panels and consulting groups and have them put proposals that he always wanted them to put out. This is a typical Andrew show. I know this guy better than anyone. I've studied him for years. And so to think that some independent group came up with this idea, no, it was his idea. He first planted these ideas into the universe.
He's not
and
answering
everyone
the question,
says it.
by the
Then
way.
he comes and act like, oh, that's a good idea, and I endorses it. Andrew is a double-digit loser in the primary. He lost by 13 points. He had his opportunity. He spent $25 million to get his message out. New Yorkers heard it. He did not sell it. He didn't get out and campaign. I said it over and over again. You guys all heard me say He was coming out only on weekends.
By the way, he's going to
was
blah,
not
blah,
speaking
blah,
to
blah, blah.
voters.
We don't really
And
need
now-
all this, but he's not answering the question. But
Yeah,
you
I
get
don't
the
think
feeling he's a no.
I don't think he's going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't
Well,
seem like it.
You know, elections matter. I talked about that at the top of the podcast. And if enough New Yorkers buy into this guy and say, wow, we don't really need police to show up at a domestic situation. Social workers will do just fine. Gosh, maybe a government-run grocery store is the right idea. If enough of them buy into this, and then, of course, Mamdani, where's he going to get the money? He's going to get it from the rich white people who aren't paying their bill. He said that too, right? So let me just give you a little preview, New York, of what's going to happen if he wins. Those rich white people who he says he's going to get all the money to fund all this shit with, they're going to move. They're going to move to Westchester County. They're going to move to Connecticut. They're going to move to Long Island. They're going to move to New Jersey. They're going to get the hell out of town. That's what's going to happen there. And then you'll be left with a hulk of the largest city in the United States and a bunch of left-wing losers running around going, who's going to pay for my food?
Yep.
That's what's going to happen. And that's why we should watch New York and beware, because we already have blue cities across this country. We have a blue city in Kansas City. How's that working out? Not well. We have a blue city in St. Louis. How's that working out? Not well. Chicago. I could go on and on. San Francisco. Okay. TDS has already set Democrats back. It really has. And I swear to God, there are people who comment on the Facebook page, and I'm just done fighting with them. There's one in particular, you could set an egg timer to anything I put on the Facebook page that he's going to have a negative opinion. And I could write it for him because I know exactly what he's going to say. There's a couple of them like that, okay? So to be a Democrat these days, to be a left-wing lunatic Democrat with TDS, you have to look at what Trump is for and then be automatically on the other side. Doesn't matter what it is. Okay, I could even show you clips all day long that show you there's not an ounce of daylight between Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and Donald Trump, and you still say orange man bad. It's true. Not one Democrat, not one in the House or the Senate voted for the big, beautiful bill. What does that mean? That means Democrats were for raising taxes on every American who pays federal income taxes. They are for keeping illegals in this country. But Trump doesn't care. Trump's just going on because he knows what he's doing is the right thing to do. He's never going to be on a ballot again. So if you people with TDS and Orange Man Bad Syndrome and all that stuff going on, he doesn't care. He's going to do what he's going to do and then turn it over to somebody else. And then what will you do? What will the cauldron that holds your hate look like? Because you can say Orange Man Bad all you want, but he's not going to be on another ballot. And meanwhile, they're getting things done. The rescission package passed the Senate overnight last night. Did you follow that?
No.
They're clawing back $9 billion. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot in a multi-trillion-dollar budget, but hey, it's something. It's a start. PBS and NPR were among the casualties. They lose their funding, and they are going crazy over that. So now, as I said on the air this morning on KFKF, you folks at PBS and National Public Radio will have to fight and claw for advertising dollars, just like every radio station, every TV station does, every podcast does. I mean, we're out there in the arena, and we're trying to get folks to buy in. We're not getting checks from the government. I mean, maybe that was okay in the 70s when you had the 3 network affiliates and you had this other educational thing over here. But look at the landscape in 2025. All the places you can go now to get educational programming for your kids. Mm-hmm. You don't need PBS, and PBS doesn't need tax dollars. All right? SCOTUS has backed Trump again on gutting the education department. Here's another thing. Every president from Ronald Reagan forward, remember the education department was started under Jimmy Carter. Every Republican president after Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, they all said, we've got to get rid of the education department. Well, Trump came in and said, let's get rid of the education department. And they're doing it. They're gutting it. And Democrats are losing their minds, but the Supreme Court backs him up because it's an executive level position, executive level agency, and he is the executive. There's only one mentioned in the Constitution, and right now, that's Donald Trump. I thought this was hysterical. There was funding in the big, beautiful bill for added security for the World Cup, which is coming to Kansas City. It's one of the venues. Sharice Davids and Emmanuel Cleaver put out a joint press release, dutifully regurgitated by what I call the KC pamphlet, the Kansas City pamphlet, the Star, taking credit for it. The problem is, Kurt, they voted against it. Right?
Against the bill, yeah.
They voted against the bill. The funding was included in the bill. And yet they took credit for it, and their friends in the media didn't hold them accountable for it. It's crazy. So it's a simple game. Take anything Trump is for, and you folks in the TDS crowd have to be on the other side. There's no nuance. There's no adult discussion. All over my Facebook page, I just can't even argue with them anymore. Some of them may come around, and maybe we'll get to a point where we can just look at issues and get the personalities out of it. I've been saying that for 4.5 years on this podcast. We need to talk about issues. We need to focus on issues. It can't be, well, Trump's for it. It's got to be bad. I mean, I did not like Bill Clinton on a personal level when, it came out, odd choice of words, that, he got a blowjob in the Oval Office from an intern. That bothered me on a lot of levels. I mean, here she is. She's an intern, college student. Here's the most powerful man in the country, and he's getting sexual favors from her. Don't you think that's a little inappropriate at the very least? So I didn't like him on a personal level. But when he came around after the 94 midterm, it's like, okay, I can get on board with that because I can see through these things. I can listen to Bill Clinton talking about illegal immigration. I can listen to him talk about balancing the budget and coming out with a surplus, things he never said early on. But he got there, and I could support that, even though he kind of creeped me out because, he had an intern give him a blowjob in the Oval Office. So you people who hate Trump, and I get it, Scott Parks, I love you, man. But every post that you put on your Facebook page starts with, I hate this man. He's terrible. He's awful, blah, blah, blah. And then you get to the issue. I jumped on one of his Facebook posts and I said, Scott, man, I love you, but everybody knows which way you're going to go on something because you hate Trump. He sat in our podcast studio and said that he agreed with Trump on the issues. He just hates him. Doesn't want to see him as president. You can't let that color what you do and how you react to things. I really, truly hope in the bottom of my heart, Kurt, that science will find an answer for Trump derangement syndrome. I don't know what it's going to take. Perhaps an intervention by people who know what they're talking about. I just hope that they all get help. Much like the help that you'll need if a deer runs out in front of you. My friend Dale Reynolds, he can get your car. If you got a fender bender, you should look at some of the videos that Dale puts out when he restores a car. He had a Pontiac, and I put it up on the podcast page, that was cherry red. That thing looks amazing. I want to say, I'm terrible at this game, but I want to say it was like a 68 or something like that. Just a beautiful machine. And if Dale Reynolds can do that to something from that far back, what can he do for your fender bender? Right?
New website.
Oh, you hit a deer, he's the guy you want. And people from all over the Kansas City metro area use him. His shop has been on 40 Highway in Blue Springs for 37 years. He's been taking care of cars, taking care of customers just like you. You got precious cargo in that vehicle. You want to make sure when it gets hit, it's fixed right, brought back to the specs when you bought it from the showroom. That's why people from Topeka, St. Joe, Lawrence all send their cars to Dale's Body Shop in Blue Springs. And I'll tell you, he has a great relationship with my buddy Bob Watson. They feed off each other, as a matter of fact, because Bob insures a lot of people who ultimately end up using Dale's Body Shop. So if you haven't had a rate quote lately, let's get it done. Because State Farm, you can bundle your home and car insurance and save even more. Auto, home, life. I was out on the lake in Lakewood, all those pontoon boats. He insures those as well. Commercial insurance, licensed in both Missouri and Kansas. Get a rate quote from Bob Watson at 816-229-7878. Like we say, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. No better way to wrap up this podcast than the words of Ronald Reagan. Ronaldus Magnus, as Rush used to call him. No better summation of where we are today and how we got here from another lifelong Democrat who saw the light.
I was a Democrat most of my life. I became a Republican only not too many years ago. And I had the pleasure of telling some of those people that are saying the Republican Party ought to broaden its base the other day that when I switched parties, I didn't do it because the two parties were alike. I did it because they were different. I was a Democrat.
So there you go. That was a guy who was a Democrat for a big part of his life and now is on the Mount Rushmore of Republicans in this country. He famously said that he didn't leave the Democrat Party, Kurt. He says they left him. All right? The Orange Man Bad TDS crowd really should take note of that because Donald Trump, the man you hate, was once the darling of the Democrat Party. How many pictures have we seen of him hanging with his buddies Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, the Clintons? They loved him.
In movies, in rap songs.
Oh, absolutely loved him. And now you hate him. And you can't even really tell me why, right? You just don't like him. He is a bull in a china shop. He's getting shit done. He's turning this country around that was spending $2 trillion more than it was taking in, with a $37 trillion debt. And we're just seeing the beginnings of it right now. The stock market is at record highs. And my test for this is our left-leaning wire service that we have in our building at KFKF. And I told Ed Walker this today. The stock market opens every day at 8:30, right? Mm-hmm. So if the Dow is down or if the stock market is down, you usually see on the wire the copy move that says stock market opening at about 8:31, 8:32. I know that the stock market is going very well that day if it gets to be 8:45, 8:50, and they haven't moved the story of the stock market opening. And it was another case like that today because they are so dishonest and they're trying whatever they can to make you hate Donald Trump and hate the direction of the country. But he's winning anyway, and we're winning. Inflation's down. Things are going well, and we're just going to have to take the win. Take the win and get out and smile. And when somebody says, Orange Man Bad, I hate Donald Trump, just smile and know that you're winning. Until next week. This is Dale Carter's America.
The views expressed on Dale Carter's America are Dale's and Kurt Wheeler's. They do not necessarily reflect the views of KFKF or Steel City Media. Comments can be sent to DaleCartersAmerica@gmail.com. Check back for weekly episodes. Subscribe, spread the word, and give us a 5-star review. Thanks for being a part of Dale Carter's America.